something near and dear to your heart. It's about the tragic case of Garnet Harper. This is a tragedy that didn't even have to be a tragedy, Randy. This is a father of 5, kidney disease, and, well, I'll let you set the table what happened to Mr. Harper and what you are suggesting that all Canadians do in order to take a stance in terms of this happening.
Well, yeah, what happened to Garnet Harper was nothing short of premeditated murder. The people who withheld needed, essential, and available healthcare knew what the consequences of their decision would be. They knew it would lead to his premature death. That is, by any measure of the criminal code, is premeditated murder. But we've been doing this for over 3 years in this province now, David. Our governments have been withholding healthcare, knowing that it would severely injure, harm, and kill people. They made a choice. They said our public policies will be designed to ostensibly and falsely diminish the spread of this virus, knowing that it is going to kill people, what we're doing. They made this choice.
And Randy, just to bring clarity to this story, the reason Mr. Harper was denied a kidney transplant is because he was unvaccinated, simply for that reason.
He refused to take a medical injection that we now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that causes significant harm and adverse injury to many people. So he purposely, willingly chose that decision. And the crux to this, of course, David, is this. The hospital system was more than willing to harvest these unvaccinated organs from Garnet Harper and transplant his unvaccinated organs into other people as long as they were vaccinated previously. And like this is there is no other word for it than premeditated murder. Like this is, there is no law in the land right now that grants hospitals the authority to deprive unvaccinated people of health care. I can go into any healthcare, into any hospital or any doctor, and I can get my arm fixed if I break my arm. I can get blood work done if I need to get blood work. And for them to decide that they should kill Garnet Harper and harvest and potentially harvest his organs and give them to others is the this is not just a tragedy. A tragedy is something that is unexpected and yes. This again, this is social murder. This is applying a punitive measure against someone who did not comply to the bullshit of the mandates.
Randy, I'll tell you, it is unbelievably unethical and immoral what happened to this man at the hands of the medical establishment. I mean, doctors subscribe to the Hippocratic Oath, translated in English. That means do no harm. This was the opposite of do no harm. This was giving this man a death sentence.
Absolutely. It was a punitive measure, and it was known to be punitive. And although there's the uncompassionate people out there, and there's the fearful people and the cowardly people who some people think that this was a reasonable undertaking by our healthcare system. But let me remind everyone, if I am a skydiver and I get injured skydiving, or if I'm a pilot flying my airplane and I get injured flying my pilot, I don't have my health care deprived from me because I had a different choice in life. Even if I decided to do something foolish like bungee jumping and got injured, healthcare would still, it's supposed to be universal. It's not just supposed to be,
Yeah.
legally, it is universal. So regardless of your the what may have transpired, the state, because they are the only ones who are permitted to provide health care in this country, has a universal duty and obligation to provide it when necessary.
No, 100%. And they have a monopoly on healthcare. We are obligated to support this monopoly through our tax dollars. I've always said, if anyone brings up if you're going bungee jumping card, you are an undue risk to our publicly funded healthcare system, I'll say, fine, let me opt out and give me a tax refund of what my taxes would be in terms of going into paying OHIP, but we know that's never going to be allowed. So that argument doesn't pass muster with me, Randy. But I'm struggling with the ostensible policy reason here by the medical establishment. COVID-19, it's in the rear view mirror of history. We know now all the lies that were hatched in terms of this pandemic, in terms of the effectiveness of the vaccine even. What in the world, Randy, was motivating these people to deny him health care due to his unvaccinated status in the first place? What was the harm?
Well, this is a vindictive approach. That's all it is. It's vindictive. This is to penalize those who were not compliant, and so David, it's time for the unvaccinated. It's time for people who seek freedom and seek justice to fight back, and just as necessary services and were withheld from the unvaccinated during the mandates. It's time for the unvaccinated and even those who have a sense of morality and justice to fight back and say, no, until we treat people equally in our healthcare system, I am going to withhold any of my organs from the healthcare system. I'm not going to let you to harvest my good organs, but let me die as a result of my decision. I am not even going to provide any blood to the healthcare system. And I think that's the way, just as services were withheld from the unvaccinated need to withhold something near and dear to the public and pressure the public and our politicians to treat everyone fairly.
And Randy, if you just allow me to play devil's advocate here, if I were to say to you, I understand where you're coming from to, deliver a blow to the medical establishment that really resulted in this man dying unnecessarily. Yet, if en masse we withhold our blood, we don't donate our organs anymore, think of how many innocent Canadians that have nothing to do with this and nothing to do with these policies who might end up, dying because of a lack of blood, a lack of a replacement organ. How would you respond to that?
Well, I would say to them all, if you think that this is important, that they have access to unvaccinated organs or have access to organs and blood, then stand up to the plate and call up their MPPs, call up their MPs, send letters to the premiers and the prime minister and say, we are treating these people unfairly. It is unjust what we're doing. I don't want to have blood on my hands that little children are now going around without a dad, a loving dad, because I was too lazy to get off my ass and tell our politicians that they should treat people fairly.
And at the end of the day, Randy, does a lot of this blame perhaps rest with, Premier Doug Ford, any other premier in Canada, in terms of reining in the medical community and saying, you can't treat people with, well, medical apartheid, if you will. That, if you're vaxxed, you get red carpet service. And if you're unvaxxed, you get a death sentence.
Oh, listen, at one time, a great many people in our country expected that our political leaders would demonstrate leadership. But we have seen in the last number of years that was a myth. There is no leadership. The only way politicians do anything other than fill their own pockets is if the public pressures them. So to anybody in your audience who's listening, if they have someone who is got complications with their kidney or liver, or whatever other ailment that may be down the road requiring a transplant, act now. Act now. And call up your MPs, your MPPs, and say to them, it's time for the government to rein in these vindictive healthcare practitioners and hospitals and say, now you're going to treat people fairly now, once again in this country. And unless people do that, unless there is political pressure to do this, our political actors will continue to read from a different script than what is called justice.
Well, Randy, we'll have to leave it there. We'll see where this proposed boycott goes. I agree with you. I'd love to see the politicians develop a spine. And also, I'd love to see those in the medical establishment go, wait a minute. I spent so many years of my life learning to become a doctor, to heal people, to prevent people from dying prematurely. And now you're asking me to hand out a death sentence to somebody that needs an organ transplant simply because he didn't get vaxxed with an experimental vaccine. Are you kidding me? It is egregious on so many levels. But like I said, Randy, we're going to have to leave it at that. And we will watch with interest your court case. Good luck in Superior Court, my friend.
Well, let me just say one last thing, David. For these doctors who think that their hands are tied and that they can't do anything, the only thing that ties their hand is a muzzle that they've placed on their mouth. Okay? They can speak up and take those wraps off their hands and make things fair. And I'd ask everybody to keep tuned in to nomorlockdowns.ca. I will be publishing a link to the constitutional case. Look forward to your support and the good work for the JCCF for handling this constitutional challenge.